The original idea for this painting is actually a sketchbook page that I did probably last year. And while I knew a lot of the decisions that I wanted to make on the painting based on this, there was a lot of things that I wanted to change and adjust because I already knew what was possible here, but I wanted to kind of push things a little bit further on the real deal. So I had this as a guide for some of the colors, but I knew that I was going to change a few things, including mirroring it, and I'll explain why. But before I explain that, I think it's kind of important to note that if you follow my artwork for a while, most of what you've probably seen is a whole lot of airbrushing and smooth blending and really highly detailed paintings. And that's something that I've really enjoyed doing for probably the better part of 5 years. But if you were to scroll like really far back into my Instagram, you might see that when I really got into painting as my full-time thing, coming straight from illustration into painting, that I wasn't even incorporating airbrushing yet. I was still figuring out kind of my visual style and was happily using paint by itself with paintbrushes, you know, the old way. But as I found a place to incorporate more airbrushing and more traditional illustration techniques, I slowly got things blended more smoothly, looking really sharp, looking really precise. The airbrush is a really challenging tool to use, and when it works well, it works amazing, and you get these super soft blends, and just things look so, so good. But lately I've been thinking, in a world where you can have AI make you the best possible image that you can ask it for, doesn't that mean it's more important for the artwork to look more like artwork? And this is just sort of a hypothetical. Obviously, I love airbrushing, and it's not like I'm going to stop doing that and incorporating that into the way that I paint. It's just, it was kind of the mindset that I took into this painting. And as I think part of why this one looks distinctly different than probably the last painting before it, which was entirely airbrushed and incredibly precise, and was such an amazing rendition of a scene that I had in mind, where I wanted to go straight from that into this, where it was no airbrushing, just let the paint do the work. Let the paint look like a painting. This also gave me a lot of room to push colors and contrast in a way that I might not otherwise if I was just airbrushing. And believe me, this was quite a bit of a challenge. Because if you're going from working a very comfortable way for so many years and then trying to all of a sudden change it, it's going to fight you a little bit and you're going to resist. And I noticed this when I first started on this painting. I think I started on Thursday, kind of late afternoon. I just kind of wanted to block in some areas. And I quickly found myself trying to be very careful, very precise, really, really early on, because that's what I would do if I was airbrushing. I have the ability to do something very clean and smooth. I might as well use that tool to the best of its ability. But as I got through just that afternoon of painting, I was thinking to myself, well, if I'm just going to paint like I'm airbrushing, I might as well just airbrush. And sometimes that would be the time where I would just go ahead and pick up the airbrush, pick up from that idea, and just take it in that natural direction because it feels comfortable. But I got up Thursday morning to pick up where I left off, and I just had a clear head, and I went, no, my goal with this is actually this other visual thing. I don't know exactly if I'm going to land it where I want visually, but I already know what it'll look like if I'll airbrush it. I already know what that will look like if I can get there. And the sketchbook concept that I didn't use any airbrushing for that either, and I think that was part of the appeal of the concept. I liked the way that it looked because I painted it, and it was challenging because it wasn't really a combination of paint strokes that I was comfortable with, and that made it challenging and difficult to do, but also a lot of fun. It was also really, really satisfying. It's not impossible to spend a day or two on a painting that looks really, really well rendered and nicely detailed, and then not feel like it's artistically that interesting. And I certainly don't mind when things are rendered really, really nicely. A lot of times that's kind of the point, is to do the best job possible. But for this, I kind of wanted to have this standalone moment. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to see if I can kind of get out of my own box a little bit. So once I kind of got into the gear of just letting the paint be what it is, then I found myself working a lot more comfortably, a lot more naturally. And it took a little bit of willpower to let certain things just be and not try to fix every little thing, at least at first. In the end, when I'm tightening up details, I go, okay, this will definitely look better if I clean this up a little bit, but within reason, trying not to go too far, which is absolutely a bit of a challenge when you're used to detailing everything kind of to death. But I love that I got to push the colors really hard on this one because it kind of represents a different visual look than realism. Even the sketchbook version wasn't quite so saturated, I guess. So I wasn't really pushing the boundaries of what would look okay visually. Whereas on this painting, I thought, well, why not? Let's just see what happens when we go a little bit further. And while it took me, probably a couple hours of painting to kind of get into this groove where I was like, it's okay if this lands here, it's okay if this lands here, but I still want to make sure that some of these details feel correct to me. And those kind of details are like the hardware, the screws that hold down the headlight bezel, the lock mechanisms for the hood, the number on the hood, the headlights being round. Like to me, these are things that that are sort of essential to not get wrong. Making sure that the painting doesn't fall out of perspective while I'm working. These are very important things to me that visually will take you so outside of it if you break these rules too much. Also, getting back to why I mirrored this image originally in my sketchbook is because the crop didn't show the number of the car. And this car, being the very first Porsche that won overall at Le Mans in 1970, the number is actually kind of significant. And in my sketchbook version, it didn't have that. So I swapped it around to at least get some of the number on there. I would rather have part of the number on there than none of it. So that's why I mirrored it, just to kind of make sure that at least part of that detail landed in the painting versus none of it, because it's a historically significant car that I was painting specifically in the lead up to Le Mans. And I do really like the end result of this. The combination of the colors and the lighting was a little bit of a risk, and I really oversaturated some of the colors versus what I did in my sketchbook painting. But that was also sort of the point. For me, I really wouldn't want to just repaint an exact sketchbook painting because it's already been done. I think this painting also represents a direction that I've kind of been wanting to push in for a little while. I absolutely really love the way that I paint already, and I enjoy do smooth blending and the really precise details, but I want to switch it up every now and again too. You never really want to do the same exact thing forever. That kind of gets boring after a while, so this was a really welcome change. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I'll see you on the next one.